Hi, my name is Tom Mavro and welcome to the Cut It TV training channel. The channel has been set up to provide easy to follow training tutorials in today's key media production software. Cut It itself is a UK based training company with over 15 years experience providing hands-on training in media production. If you would like any further information about our training services, please visit our website at www.cut-it.tv or check us out on social media. I hope you enjoy the following tutorial. In the following tutorial, we're going to have a look at how to apply and amend video transitions. First of all, to access your video transitions, you need to go to the Effects tab in Premiere Pro, which can be found in the same area as the Project tab in the default settings. Here it is, Effects. By clicking on there, you then have access to all your video and audio transitions and effects. To get to the video transitions themselves, you need to go into the video transitions bin. Within there, then there is a number of sub bins with different types of transitions in, or any plug-in transitions that you might have installed. So for example, these universe ones here are plugins. You open up the relevant bin, and within there, there'll be a number of different types of transition that you can then apply to edits. We're going to look initially at a video cross dissolve. A cross dissolve is the default video transition for Adobe Premiere Pro. This can be switched. If you go into the relevant transitions bin, right click on a alternative transition and then choose set selected as default transition, that will amend the default transition. But a cross dissolve is probably the most commonly used video transition, and as a general default it's a good one to have it set to. To take any transition and apply it to a specific edit in your timeline, you drag the transition across onto the edit you want to apply it to. You'll get a shadow that appears and indicates the three ways of dropping the transition onto an edit. So centering it on the edit, ending it on the edit, and starting it on the edit. I'm going to go for centered. Let go, and the transition is then applied across that edit. So this will fade the one clip into the next. Behind the scenes, this extends both clips. So it's extending the outgoing clip, this is a default 1 second transition, so by half a second extra, and it extends the start of the incoming clip also by half a second. So there's now a second's overlap between these two clips. The thing to be aware of is this may result in seeing some footage that you initially had trimmed out of either or both of the clips. To adjust the duration of the transition, I can either do this manually by moving over the ends of the transition and clicking and dragging, with the little trim symbol that appears, extending or trimming the transition. Or if I double click on the transition, it opens up the set transition duration dialog. I can then type in the duration that I want. So let's say I want this to become a 2 second transition. I can just delete what's in there. I'm going to type in 2 for seconds, and I must add my frames, so 0, 0 for frames. When I click OK, that then has extended that transition out to 2 seconds. You can also open up a transition settings in the effects controls panel. What you do is you select the transition, you come up to effects controls here, click on the tab, and in there then you have the basic controls for the transition that you've opened up. So again, here is duration, so again I can click in there and further adjust the duration. Let's change it back to 1 second. I can change the alignment, so start at cut, end at cut, or center again. I can also adjust the duration of the transition here by dragging out the little transition graphic in the effects controls window. The difference is here it only affects one side at a time, so I can also offset the duration of the transition and have more of the transition before the edit point and less after. I can also move over the edit point, so I get this roll symbol here, click and drag, and that actually rolls the edit left or right. So it's moving the edit point between the two clips and taking the transition with it. I can offset the transition without affecting its duration by just clicking in the middle of it and dragging it. That can also be done on the timeline in the same way. Click in the middle of the transition and drag left or right, and it offsets the transition. And finally, there is a little show actual sources tick box, which when you tick this on will give you a little preview of your transition if you want it in this window by clicking play transition. However, it's just as easy these days to do that on the timeline. If I want to switch a transition for an alternative transition, I can take one of the alternative ones and just drag that over the original, and it will replace the original with the new one. And again, if I just select it in effects controls, we then see the controls. Depending on the transition, there may be some extra controls. So for example, if I take a wipe transition, let's just drop that on instead, select it. In effects controls, I've still got the original basic settings, but there'll be some additional controls. So for example, I can set a border width. Let's just put my playhead over the middle of the transition so you can see this updating. So I can increase and add a border by either clicking over there, dragging, or typing in an amount. I can adapt the color of the border by clicking in the little color swatch here, opening up my color picker and selecting a color. Or I can sample a color by clicking on the little eyedropper and then moving over anything on my screen, clicking and sampling, and that will sample that color. I can reverse the transition, so it reverses the direction of the transition. And then also, with a wipe in this case, there's some extra controls around the little preview window here. These allow me to change the angle of the transition. So if I click on this little control point here in the top right hand corner, that switches the transition so it becomes a diagonal wipe rather than a horizontal one. Or if I want to, a vertical wipe. Another really good use of a transition is to create a fade up or a fade down at the start or the end of an edit. The best transition for this is, once again, the default transition, which is a cross dissolve. If I drag a cross dissolve onto the start of the first clip in my sequence and let go, that will create a fade up from black. As there's no other clip for it to fade into, it fades into the background color for the sequence, which is black. And if I jump to the end of my sequence, drag a cross dissolve onto the end of the last clip of my sequence, that will create a fade to black.